How is it going, everybody? AZPlyo21 here, back with another episode of our UFC save and WMMA 5, our Reborn save. And it is the first week of January 2024. We have UFC Fight Night Sterling versus Figuierido. So yes, we do have Figuierido and Sterling going at it in our main event. We also have a very interesting fight card. Miocic, Stipe going at it with Tom Aspinall in our co-main event. Sean Strickland in action, Dan Hooker in action. Tisha Torres in action as well. Should be a good fight card. Appreciate you guys for watching, whether you are on YouTube or whether you are on Twitch. As always, I always appreciate you guys. Be sure to leave a like on the video if you have not already done so. Subscribe if you have not already done so. And yeah, just let me know what you guys have been thinking. Coming up next, we have UFC Fight Night Dvalishvili versus Font, another bantamweight main event. Also got JDM versus Wonderboy Thompson, which I would love to see happen in real life. After that, we got Jan Blachowicz taking on Dustin Jacoby in the light heavyweight division. I believe it was supposed to be somebody else in the main event, but I believe that somebody got injured, and so in steps Dustin Jacoby for his first main event. Should be interesting. Yeah, it says that it should be a great main event, although one of the broadcasters is definitely going to be upset. It is what it is. Love to see it. Why is that? Is it set? Yeah, it's set up as a throwaway show. Man, okay. But yeah, not a very good fight card apparently for the Poland crowd. Sucks to see. And then we have UFC 298 Adesanya versus Cannonier as the pay-per-view for the month. Izzy and Jared Cannonier going at it for the middleweight title yet again. Also got Max Holloway taking on Super Sodiq Yusuff. Rakic versus Murzakanov in the light heavyweight division. Piotr Yan in action versus Chito Vera. And then Carla Esparza versus Tatiana Suarez. That could be a title eliminator if Suarez were to win. With that said, appreciate you guys. As always, let's get right into it. Sterling versus Figuierido. Fight is taking place in Oregon. Love me a Portland fight card. As we kick things off with our prelims, as always, Chris Gruetzemacher taking on Manuel Sosa, who I believe is making his UFC debut today. Former PFL fighter. As you can see, he is in fact making his UFC debut. Last fight was in Jungle Fight, as it is Sosa with the knockout in round number 2. Starts out his UFC career with a win, a perfect 12-0 now to start out his career. Jamie Malarkey taking on Loic Radzhabov, Jaguar Paw, interesting nickname. The Tajikistani fighter is the favorite, but he does lose to Jamie Malarkey, who takes it via unanimous decision here today. Love to see it for Jamie Malarkey. Jacob Malkoon taking on Eric Yaboy Anders in the middleweight division. And it is Malkoon, the Australian, actually getting the victory here today over Eric, the 36-year-old, with the 9th loss of his career. Parker Porter, fan favorite, taking on Jamal Pogues in the heavyweight division. Pogues, I believe, a former Bellator fighter. I'm not sure if he's making his UFC debut. We shall see. Taking on veteran Parker Porter, who got a lot of work in during the COVID era. He's no stranger to the Apex as we get things cooking with him. 1-1 is Jamal Pogues, so definitely not his UFC debut. Coming off a loss to Don'Tale Mayes. In fact, he is the odds-on favorite against Parker Porter, and it is Pogues who gets the TKO win in round number 2. So now Parker Porter 2-4 in his UFC career. So it should be 3-4. Not sure why. Interestingly enough, he had a little 3-fight win streak going on. Interestingly enough, but yeah, good for Parker. So yeah, not doing too badly, I should say. Tyson Pedro taking on Emilio Kisa. Tyson Pedro, of course, big Australian fighter. Recently came back in the light heavyweight division, but it is Kisa getting the victory. The German fighter who is making his UFC debut gets the win here today. Former Cage Warriors champion, it would seem, and yeah, a good one after beating Tyson Pedro. Taking on Muslim Salikov, taking on Darius Flowers, as we have the King of Kung Fu looking for his 20th victory, and he does get it. Unanimous decision against Flowers here today. Joel Alvarez taking on Mike Beast Boy Davis in the 155 division. Pretty even fight between the two of these guys. And we do have Beast Boy Mike Davis with the 12th win of his career. Now 5-1 in his UFC career. And he is on a 5-fight win streak. His only loss, listen to this, being Gilbert Burns. That is not a bad loss to have if you're Mike Davis. So good for him. He might be ranked. Tracy Cortez taking on Natalia Silva on the prelims. Everyone loves them some Tracy Cortez. I'm sure it's because of her MMA prowess, but she does lose here to Natalia Silva, the 15th win of Silva's career, as she gets the split decision here today. And she's calling out Miranda Maverick. Lucy Pudilova taking on Caitlin Vieira in the bantamweight division. Final prelim between these two bantamweights, and it is Pudilova getting the TKO victory over Vieira, who's had quite a bit of a fall. 3-fight losing streak. Rocky Pennington, Pannie Kianzad, and now a big loss to Lucy Pudilova, of all fighters. Interesting. So Pudilova getting a big win as we open up the main card with Tiny Tisha Torres as she takes on Mexican Yasmin Yaregui. Yaregui, a big prospect over in Mexico. A couple of UFC fights to her name. I'm pretty sure she was a Combate Americas champion. Yeah, you can see a perfect 3-0 in the UFC thus far. Ranked at number 21 as she takes on Tisha Torres, ranked at number 16. Coming off 2 straight losses. Mackenzie Dern, Amanda Hebos. Not terrible losses in the slightest. And it is Yaregui with the TKO victory over Tisha Torres, the biggest win of her career to date. Fighting out of Lobo Gym. May end up having to fight, you know, a teammate or two down the line, because a lot of Mexican fighters on the come up over there from Mexico. Pannie Kianzad, another bantamweight, taking on a debuting Jacqueline Cavalcanti. Cavalcanti, for whatever reason, is ranked at number 3 in our division. LFA champion, so she is coming in having just won, you know, a title and defended that title. Portuguese fighter, taking on Pannie Kianzad, who is number 7 in her own right in the division, kind of defending the UFC's territory, if you will, as it is Cavalcanti actually winning in her UFC debut over a top 10 opponent. Fantastic fight, submission victory for Cavalcanti. So she might just be 1 or 2 wins away from a title fight, which is crazy to think, but that bantamweight division is absolutely horrid. So you never know. Dan Hooker, veteran of the Octagon, taking on Carlos Diego Ferreira, another veteran. You can see he's on a nice little 4-fight losing streak, unfortunately. On the other side, you got Dan Hooker, who had that win against Claudio Puelles and then lost to Grant Dawson, looking for a big win in his own right. But it is Carlos Diego Ferreira breaking his losing streak and getting a TKO over the Hangman here today. Sean Strickland taking on Rafael Lovato Jr. So we did just see him lose to Paulo Costa in the main event, 30-27, or not in the main event, got 30-27 by Paulo Costa. Taking on former Bellator middleweight champion in Rafael Lovato Jr. Had 1 fight in CES and now is back in the thick of things. It looks like, I'm pretty sure he had heart problems and that's why he retired initially. But, I mean, hey, beat Gegard Mousasi, former champion. I mean, why not, you know? He is odds-on favorite as well against Sean Strickland. Great at jiu-jitsu, as it is Rafael Lovato Jr. who submits Sean Strickland in his UFC debut, and we might have to give him a fast track just because he is 40 years old. So no dicking around with Rafael Lovato Jr. We're going to give him as tough as a fight as we can find for him. Stipe Miocic taking on Tom Aspinall in our co-main event. Big heavyweight prospect in Tom Aspinall taking on Stipe here today. He is on a pair of losses. Yair and Curtis Blades, and on the other side you have Stipe, who of course is coming off losses to Francis Ngannou, and then John Jones, both for the title. He's on the you know, later end in his career as well, so we could see him retire too if he gets a big knockout loss from Tom Aspinall, as it is Aspinall who does in fact get a TKO victory over Stipe. And if Stipe were to retire here, I would not blame him, and I would probably let him stay retired. 3 straight losses, that'd be tough, but we'll see what happens. He does. So Stipe has retired. So big props to Stipe, you know, one of the greats at heavyweight. Goes out on his back to one of the top heavyweight prospects in Tom Aspinall. Good for him. As we move on to our main event of the evening in the bantamweight division, Aljamain Sterling, former champion, taking on Deivison Figuierido, who made his bantamweight debut by beating Pedro Munoz via TKO. and now is looking to do the same to the former champion in Sterling, and could potentially punch his ticket for a title shot should he, you know, win the fight in impressive fashion. Let's take a look at our main event here. 5 rounds of fighting in the bantamweight division. Love to see it. Uh-oh, beautiful right uppercut. Sterling is knocked down already. Figuierido looking to finish him off. A couple big strikes, but he is not finishing the fight. Looks like Figuierido may have broken his hand. Uh-oh, weak looking punches. Uh-oh, that is no good. If he broke his hand on that big shot, that could be trouble for the rest of the fight. Sterling controlling Figuierido against the cage. Minute left to go. Looks like Deivison is going to win this round. Yep, they say that he definitely did. They're saying people did not expect Figuierido to start this well. Let's see here. Pressing him up against the cage. Not getting much going. Does get a takedown. Halfway through round number 2, Aljamain in control of this second round. And it looks like the second round is going to come to a close rather quickly. Uh-oh. Figuierido ends up on top. And round 2 comes to a close. They say it went to Sterling. And remember, Deivison does have what appears to be a broken hand. Sterling avoids it. Punches do not land. Punches. Figuierido to the cage. And he gets a takedown. Figgy pulls guard. Half guard here. Caught inside control. Time runs out on round number 3. Sterling might be up by a round now as we head to the championship rounds. Remember, Figgy dropped him very early in round number 1 and then broke his hand. And ever since then, Aljo's just been kind of putting him up against the cage, just kind of controlling him and not really doing too much. Good solid base. Pin to the cage. Second half of round number 4. Round number 5 here in our main event. Figuierido might be losing this fight. He needs a stoppage, but he's not going to get it there as he gets taken down yet again. Round comes to a close, and so does the fight. They say Sterling might have won the fight by 4 rounds to 1. Let's go ahead and take a look. All 3 judges score the contest 49-46 for your winner by unanimous decision, Aljamain Funkmaster Sterling. So Deivison, given his first loss in the bantamweight division at 36 years of age, it's going to be a long, long road for him to get back up to the top. Aljo, after losing his title, though, gets a big win. So you love to see that if you're Aljamain, you know, big win after losing the title. Maybe another win, gets a title shot once again. Let's go ahead and take a look here. Excellent fight. So Sosa and Gretzemacher, love to see it. We had a couple really good fights on the card, but I'm pretty sure excellent goes over fantastic. So Sosa and Gretzemacher can get that regard. Aspinall will get a performance bonus for TKOing Stipe. And then there were no other first round finishes. So we'll give Sosa another $50K. $100,000 to Manuel Sosa. Congrats. He was only going to get $3,000, so love to see that. Stipe, highest paid fighter on the night with a nice $1,200,000 as he retires. And because of that, we lose money. Love to see it. Appreciate you guys. Whether you're watching on YouTube or Twitch, like I said, be sure to stay tuned. Lots more fights coming your way. I'm AZPlow21, and I will see you guys at the fights.